I'm so glad that we can include you in this program. You are not only the director of TCU's Latin American Music Center, but also of the Latin American Music Festival, which I'm excited to talk with you about.
Yes,
And you're also, are you still leading the youth orchestra of Greater Fort Worth too?
yes, as well. Yes, we just
Incredible.
celebrated our 60-year anniversary and my 25 as music director.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's
Yeah.
such an important task, and you're doing such great things over at TCU. Well, I'm excited to hear about this festival that is coming up, but I think where we should start together is, when we talk, first of all, this is a meeting for Hispanic Heritage Month, right? This is our
Yes.
discussion. This is why we're here talking about this. And I think when American audiences think about Latin classical music, I would wager my entire bank account that the first composers that they think of are either Mexican or Argentine. But
Exactly.
that's why I'm glad that you're here, though, that because there's such huge gaps to fill when it comes to Latino classical music,
Uh-huh.
and you can help with that.
Yes. Absolutely. And that's one of the unfair situation with Latin American composers because there is this stereotype that this is only folk music. They believe Latin American music is only salsa, son cubano, danzón, mariachi, tango, which we are very proud to have this beautiful music loved all around the world. But we have amazing symphony composers and choral composers, chamber music, and unfortunately, they have not been given the same respect
Mm.
as composers from Europe. For instance, we have the great Silvestre Revueltas in Mexico. And some of the critics, when they heard the music for Revueltas in the United States in the middle of, the late 20th century, they hear Sensemaya and say, oh yeah, that sounds like the Rise of the Spring of Latin America.
Mm.
Or Ravel is a version of a Ravel's Bolero. They all associate that as copies. No, they were great composers. And, and little by little, the orchestras all over the world start recognizing that this is wonderful music
Hmm.
written by very respected composers, great musicians. And that was the reason that I suggested TCU that if I will come here, I will have to start a Latin American Music Festival to show our community the other side of the coin. And then I bring both. I bring mariachi, I bring tango players, but at the same time, they need to listen to Revueltas, to Ginastera, to
Mm.
Villalobos, to Chavez, all of those great composers. So we mix the festival that way.
Oh, I love the way that you speak about it because you say we. You are Colombian, but you
Yes.
still identify with the Mexican composers, with
Oh,
the
absolutely.
Argentine, with the Brazilians.
Absolutely. I think that we, as the same time that we speak Spanish, which is the mother tongue of Latin America, except Brazil that speak Portuguese and some islands with other dialects, Spanish is the language.
Mm.
And Spanish is the language, and the music is also very related in all the countries. So you hear a guapango in Mexico, and then you hear a pampiana by Ginastera, and it's the same rhythm, same thing, say
Hmm.
ya papapita titi papi papita tita. So it's these characteristics in all the countries, and then you listen to that in the joropo de Colombia and
Mm.
Venezuela, and all of these dances are interrelated because we got this heritage from the Spaniards when they came
Mm.
to to Latin America.
Well, I imagine you personally experienced some challenges coming up in this music because of what you're talking about, because of some of the roadblocks that are set in front of us. Um,
Um,
But talk to me about your story specifically. What are some of your earliest musical memories? What do you remember your parents listening to? What were your family and friends dancing to when you were growing up?
Oh yeah, and I think that's one of the beautiful things of our culture,
Mm,
that music starts at home.
hmm
For us, you cannot conceive a Latin American party without people playing the guitar and singing and dancing all the time.
hmm
So here you go to a party and the party is, having a beer and having a wine and bye-bye. That's it.
Right.
But for us, there is no party if there is no music. So the music starts at home rather than only at school and the church, which
hmm
is what happens in other cultures or in the United States as well. So at home, they rarely do music. I mean, we cannot say always, but most of the family will have this music interaction at school with the bands, with the groups there, at the church, but it's not at home.
hmm
For us, is we grow up singing and dancing with our brothers and sisters, and so we create that passion for music first before we learn the theory and the harmony.
hmm
you know, so I think we carry that, and that's why you see conductor like Dudamel and Orozco and
hmm
Harbedoya and all of these. They audience get fascinated because, oh my, I love the way that conductors moves at the podium, because we
hmm
have been so used to be moved by the music since we were child.
Yes. To your point, I love that there's not that delineation though that there is in American music or in Western European music, right? We have classical music and then we have everything else. What you're saying is it kind of all moves in parallel. And there's
Exactly,
Colombian folk music, there's jazz, right?
exactly,
It's all the same vernacular working together and it's all the same people experiencing it and playing it.
exactly. And even when we go to the conservatory in Latin America, as long as we learn how to play the violin, to play songs, we want to play our folk songs right away in the violin,
hmm
because you cannot separate the two things. So you play the exercise, you play the Bach partitas, but you play the bambuco colombiano, the pajarillo in Mexico. That way you see Cardenas, concertmaster of uh, the Philharmonic of Paris, and he's such a great improviser playing pajarillos and all of this, the same time that he can play Tchaikovsky and Brahms violin concertos. So
Yeah.
both are there.
Well, let's talk about you specifically because you were trained both in Colombia and
The United
Indiana,
States.
or
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Illinois, excuse me, in
yeah,
Illinois.
yeah, yeah.
Um, talk to me about the differences in your experience, specifically the two different educations that you experienced.
Well, is I think the main difference is what I just said, the way that we feel music.
Mm,
Music is part of our life.
mhm.
We need music the same way that we need to eat every day. We cannot conceive life without music.
Mm,
So for us, the assignment to learn something in music is already uh, a very appealing thing to do, because there is this curiosity to go and to find in the theory what we have been doing without the theory. You know what I
mm,
mean?
yeah.
Spontaneously. So that's the way that we get into music, and we keep that passion and that expression. And in the United States, I teach students that have been trained only at the school, at the university, and they come to conduct a piece of music and they are all correct. All the entrants are there. But they say, "Are you feeling that music?" What do you mean? Yeah, I don't see change in your face. This is happy music, but you are so concentrated in giving everything correct. Oh, we didn't know that we were supposed to look like the music. I say, yes, you are supposed to look like the music. So it's is two different systems.
Mm.
So you have to struggle with them because they are kind of shy. Maybe they had been asked to control themselves, not to get too emotional, just be efficient. But I
Hmm.
don't think that's enough in music.
But for you, it was just natural. You became the
Absolutely.
music.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
And I think that's the case with, Latin American musicians. Look at them on the stage. That's the
mhm.
way that we behave.
But what can we do now? How can we change how it is? Should we change how it is for American students?
Well, I don't know. It's something that I believe that we come to this country because this country offer a lot of opportunities for us.
Hmm.
Um, there are the resources for research. They have great teachers. The best people from all over the world end up in the United States, and you come looking for those people. That was my case. I came to
Hmm.
Illinois because Roque Cordero was there. So he was not in Panama. He was the best composer from Panama, but he was working in the United States in ISU. So
Hmm.
I went to ISU looking for him, and then I got immersed into the two cultures. So from the beginning, I understood that our responsibility is to learn the best from this culture, but
Mm.
also to offer to them the best of our culture.
Hmm.
So we need to be dealing with both sides. So can
Hmm.
you try this way? Can you try this? And then learn from them that other part that we don't have there. We don't have the big libraries, big resources for investigations, all the
Hmm.
labs or the computers or the system they have here.
Hmm.
So we take advantage of that as well. So there are great things in both sides. But I think the emotional part is what we can bring to them.
Mm.
And I
So
think
it.
it's something that we have to be very conscious that if we live in a cosmopolitan area,
Hmm.
we need to have Mexican restaurant because there is a lot of Mexican people here.
Hmm.
You need to have Colombian restaurant because there are Colombians like me that are looking forward to have a nice Colombian dish, right? Chinese, Indian, everywhere. If it's a melting pot, so the whole community is here. Let's give them what they need because
Hmm.
you're never going to erase your own roots, your
Hmm.
background. So we need to have everything present and try to offer them the best that you can.
Well, this is a good opportunity. You're talking about exposure, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It requires exposure. This is a good opportunity to talk about your Latin American Music Festival,
Uh-huh.
which we were both very excited about, and I know you're excited about some of the names that you're bringing. What is the mission of your Latin American Music Festival? How did you conceive it? What did you want it to do for our community when you started it?
Well, there are several reasons for that. One, and the most important one is that when I was hired at TCU in 1996, going to be 30 years already, I can't believe that. In, 19,
Congratulations.
in 1996, when I came to TCU, the first thing I noticed is that we are immersed in a large Latino community.
Hmm.
So I told the university, we need to do something for that community. And if I'm Latin American, I want to offer them the best that we can to offset the part that they are not in their own countries, but they are abroad in another culture. So what a great thing to offer them once every other year, because this festival is every other year, it's a biannual festival.
Hmm.
They know that they are going to listen to Paquito de Rivera, to Pacho Flores, to Daniel Freiberg, to Daniel Binelli. How many artists I brought to TCU, which are world-class musicians,
Hmm.
but they are not well known in the Anglo community. And when they come and listen to, my God, what an artist. So that's an obligation for me as a Latino to show
Hmm.
them that we are way more than tamales and tacos and burritos and tangos and cumbias and boleros. You know what I
Which are
mean?
all still great things, but
They're
there's
all
more.
great, all great. But we need to show that we have greatness on all the areas as well. So
Yes.
that was the intent of the Latin American Festival. And behind that, it was the recruiting of the best Latin American musicians to come to the United States, especially to TCU. So
Mm-hmm.
if you come to one of our concerts at TCU, I always put the country in front of the name of every student.
Mm.
And I have a student more than 15 different countries in my orchestra. So it's like a United
Wow.
Nations.
Yes.
So that's so important for the American students because they are mingling with people that come from different backgrounds, and they learn the violin with different systems in different ways, the theory, the solfege. All
Mm-hmm.
of this is different everywhere in Europe. And that enrich the life of the students when they share
Mm-hmm.
those experience of those background. And it has been very helpful because what I try is to open avenues both ways. One from Latin America to Texas and another from Texas to Latin American countries. So
Mm-hmm.
there has been more than 15 faculty members performing with major orchestras in South America from TCU
Wow.
because of this exchange.
Talk to me about some of the national artists that you're bringing in. What are their reactions to this festival? What do you give them insight as to what your mission is, or do you just say, "Here, play on the stage"?
No, no, no. They know that they are coming to teach our students,
Mm,
the music. Like it was one year that I have the symposium of Ibero-American composers. I have like 25 composers from many countries in South America. So there are lectures, there are master classes. The students are ready to show them their compositions, to study their composition and ask them questions. That's what's going to happen with Paquito and Pacho and Daniel. These three guys, I don't know if, are you, I cannot see my,
yes, no, you're doing great. Yeah, I see it.
okay. Yeah. All of these they are going to perform, but they are also going to teach
Mm,
because we are playing their compositions. And so the students are playing that. They are studying the pieces and having the composer and performing for the composer is a unique experience that we don't have when we play Beethoven symphonies, right? And Mozart. We know this is great music, but you don't have the composer to talk to them and get their feedback. So that's what is so important. And yes, I try to bring um, very important musicians in both areas, in the popular music, the folk music, and the symphony composer, the one that didn't write folk music but wrote wonderful orchestral pieces, chamber music, all
mhm,
the area. In the previous festival, I brought Mariachi Sol de Mexico from California.
mm,
That's probably the best mariachi in the United States. And it was an incredible experience for our students playing El Son de la Negra. And at the end of the concert, I called like three mariachis from our area and I put them on the balconies of the Van Cliburn Concert Hall. And there were like 100 people playing the same piece at the end of the concert
wow.
with the TCU Symphony.
Yes, yes. Well,
Uh-huh.
that's my next question is an audience who goes to this Latin American music festival. We're speaking specifically to a classical audience right now. What can they expect? What should they expect? Should they be comfortable going into the space of the Latin American Music Festival as a classical listening audience?
Well, what will be surprised is that people that are not familiar with Latin American music, they get crazy when they go into a concert hall and listen to dances and sound that they didn't hear before.
Hmm.
I used to be the music director for 12 years of the Dallas Symphony Hispanic Festival. And I mean, the concert was at 8 p.m. At 6 p.m. you have to be there. They have to create different entertainment before the concert because there were so many people at the Meyerson. So they have to do tango shows or mariachi or something playing before the concert because those were, full house. And this
Mm.
is people that go to regular symphony concert to listen, the famous symphonies, Mahler and Shostakovich. But they
Hmm.
say, oh, I never hear something like that. So they got really excited with the rhythms, and the Latinos are there shaking their bodies and enjoying the music. Something what Dudamel is doing now with the Simon Bolivar. They go to Europe and play the mambo written by Bernstein, but they dance.
Mm.
It's so contagious. It's a different experience, music. So I don't apologize for it if I don't perform a classical piece. Like last year we have the mariachi. This time we are going to have Paquito. But Paquito, for instance, we are performing a piece that he wrote, "The Journey,"
Hmm.
and it's a piece inspired by the mix of Chinese culture with American culture, and the movements are called rice and beans, beans from Cuba and rice from China, and it's in 7/4 at the beginning. It's pretty difficult for the
Yeah.
for any orchestra. It's very difficult. So those are pieces inspired on Latin American rhythms, but absolutely mixed with standard compositional techniques.
Mm. Well, I love what you're doing to expose the community to this music and, obviously connect people with their native music too. Um, Help me to do my job. What can I do on the classical radio end? What should I do when it comes to programming music and exposing people on the air?
Well, I think that we should play Latin American music exactly the same way that we play standard repertoire.
Mm.
It's not to say that we have a specific program for classical music, because Ginastera deserves to be in the same program as Copland, Arbenstein, and Mio, any of those composers. So it's not that we need to wait for the diversity activities to hear our composers. No, they have the level and they deserve the respect of any other composer. Okay, so we need to finish that part of it. Now, I'm having the Latin American Festival because it is an event that have been established, 30 years ago, and they are looking forward to come to
Mm.
listen to this. And sometimes I invite dancers to come and dance in front of the orchestra. You can get on YouTube several of our recordings there. Uh, so we try to give our audience a little bit of everything. I have done zarzuelas instead of opera. We do opera. We just play the Marriage of Figaro by Mozart. But there was one year that we did La Dolorosa and Aguas, Azucarillos, y Aguardientes. So all Spanish people, it was pack of Spanish, they were crying in the theater.
Mm.
Where they get a chance to listen to that?
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, Dr. Germán Gutierrez, thank you for what you're doing for our community,
Uh,
specifically at TCU. Thank you for what you're doing with the Latin American Music Festival. Tell me again the dates for that.
it's going to be from September the 29th. On Monday, we are going to have a faculty recital. So our faculty will perform all Latin American music, but there will be, brass quintets, string quartets, piece for 8 cellos, for cello ensemble, and they are all Americans playing Latin American music.
Wow.
And that's the purpose, to try to share with them. So it's a full recital for faculty or top students playing
Mm.
with them. And then on September 30 is a brass ensemble. And when I communicated this to Paquito and Daniel Fry, they say, "Hey, I wrote a brass quintet for the Canadian brass." So we are playing their music, you know, that it
Yeah.
doesn't sound like any of our regular rhythm, but it's a standard brass quintet.
Mm.
And then on Wednesday night, our jazz ensemble are going to play with the three of them, with Paquito, Pacho Flores, and Daniel Freiberg, mixing with our students.
Wow.
So it's so interesting to see the rehearsal, to see the coaching that they were going to give to them. And the final concert is with the TCU Symphony on October the 2nd.
Mm.
We have the premiere of The Journey, this piece that Paquito wrote, with 4 soloists. And the soloist again is Paquito, Pacho, Daniel, and our cello professor. She's French, and she's having so much fun playing Paquita de Rivera's music.
I bet. Yeah.
So it's going to be a fantastic event as well. So I hope people can come, and if somebody is listening and want to get tickets, give me a call. I will give you tickets to come and listen to it. All right.
Awesome. Well, gracias, Herman. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. It's a pleasure to speak with you, and thank you for being a part of this.
My pleasure. Thank you for your invitation.
Okay,
Bye
mucho
bye.
gusto.